Hi, I'm Titli and this is my busy garden. September's here, and in typical British summer style we're going to have a period of lovely warm weather. Brilliant! Now here's a thing. No, I mean literally. Here's a thing. I've no idea what this is. It's got this kind of collapsible propellery thing at one end and a handle at the other. I've no idea what it's for, but it was left by the previous owners. Any ideas, anyone? There's a couple of my wildflowers which are starting to go to seed, and I really don't want them blowing their seeds all over my garden. So I think it's time I chopped them down. Of course, the thing about chopping these down is that in the act of doing so, I'm going to end up dispersing the seeds. Ho-hum, c'est la vie. Now, I know that some of you will be asking, Titli, why didn't you cut the seed heads off before they opened up? And you'd be right to ask that question because it's a very good one. Well, now that I've removed all the fluffy stuff, I'm going to chop these down to the ground. There is an element of sadness in doing this actually, because it kind of brings it home that autumn's on its way and the garden is soon going to be in decline. But I'd rather chop these things down now than have to do it much later in the year when they've gone all crispy and brown and horrible. All gone. Now, here are a couple of interesting things. One of them is this. This is quite interesting. But down here, the plant spreads by putting out these runners which then take root and grow. So I'm going to have to do something here before the plant starts to take over the entire bed. I think what I'm going to do is try and dig this entire thing out at the front here. Let's see what happens. Oh goodness me, it's like a tripod. Actually, I've changed my mind. It's more like Medusa's hair. Right, well, I've got a bit of a confession to make because I've been quite zealous with my digging. I've dug pretty much the entire plant out, apart from a small bit near the fence. I've dug the bulbs out, which is great because it means I can have a look at them and put them where I want them. And I've also managed to rescue this rather interesting plant, which I can place where I want. There's already a plant very much like it at the fence at the back, so I think I'll put it next to that. And I can now dig some soil improver back into the soil to help it become more improved. So I think I'll use some of the stuff that's in this compost bin. Now I can dig this into the soil. Oh, I'm quite pleased with that. What of the bulb? I'll plant that tall plant at the back here. And now I can replant my bulbs. Well, I'm quite pleased with what I've done here today. It's not at all what I was expecting to do, but I probably won't have to touch this patch now until the spring. Now there's a thing. Now here's the fun thing. Having dealt with that plant over there, I've now got to deal with this plant over here, because it's also going to fluffy seeds. And I also need to cut these down because they've finished flowering. And I need to cut out this thistly thing which has had it too. Now I can cut out this dead growth down here. Now I can see what I'm doing. Oh dear. Have I taken away some of his cover for him to catch birds, I wonder? It's starting to look a lot better over here now. I can start to see bare soil again. But to remind myself for what's coming next year, and also when I dig this patch over, I'm going to write myself some little tags and put them where the stumps are to say what the plant is. So this is the fireweed. Put that in there. That's it. Now there's quite a lot of plants out at the moment that the bees are loving. Let me show you a few. There's this lovely sedum which is crawling with honeybees. There are my giant daisies. And as for these goldenrods, the bees think Christmas has come early. To say that it's a hive of activity here would be a very terrible pun. You're leaning a bit. I'll lean to compensate. Never let it be said that my garden isn't bee friendly. Dee 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 dee. Dee 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 dee. Well, it may be hot and sweaty out there, and it's even hotter and sweatier in here. But I've got some tomatoes to pick. Dee 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 dee. I have no idea what the Ride of the Valkyries has to do with tomato picking. Dee 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 dee. I mean, I wouldn't say I was a particularly great fan of Wagner. Well, I've got a couple of pounds of tomatoes here. I've got some nice moneymaker tomatoes, which would be good for the salads. And I've also got quite a few small plum tomatoes. They'll make a nice sauce. I've had another windfall of very small apples from the catcher tree. The apples off this tree were much bigger than this last year. Anyway, let me tell you what one tastes like. Slightly waxy skin. Sweet, juicy, utterly delicious. While I'm at it, I might as well test one of the apples from this tree too. Get a good wipe. It's got a dry skin, sort of hollow sound. Very crisp, quite sharp, balanced with a bit of sweetness. Very pleasant apple, actually. Are you jealous yet, watching me feast myself on my own produce? Now the last thing I'm going to try is this plum, which is one of only 2 plums on the tree. Unfortunately, it looks like it's been half eaten. Well, let's cut it open and see what's inside. Well, I'm not sure there's been any beasties in here, but this bottom half doesn't look very appetising, but the top half looks okay, so let's give it a go. Very nice. I just hope I have some more plums next year. Well, that's all I've got time for this week. If you happen to know what my thing is, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and do join me next time in Titli's busy garden.